I was thinking about how most of us deal with risk. It's usually just a gut feeling, right? You look at the sky, see a gray cloud, and think, I probably don't need an umbrella. It's a gamble.
It'll probably be fine.
Exactly. The famous last words, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But today, we are diving into a world where it'll be fine is not just a bad attitude, it's actually a breach of contract.
A very expensive one.
We are looking at high-stakes engineering, the kind where billions of dollars and, well, thousands of lives are on the line.
Right.
And specifically, we're decoding this document. It's titled E2.8 Employer Requirement Risk Management.
It sounds incredibly dry, doesn't it? Like something you'd use to cure insomnia.
It does, but when you actually read it, which, we have, it reads less like a manual and more like a suspense thriller. It's a crystal ball.
It's a legal trap.
And a psychological game. It really is.
It is. It's the employer, the person with the money, basically telling the contractor, the person doing the work, I do not trust your luck.
I don't care about your gut feeling.
I want you to mathematically prove to me that you won't ruin this.
So let's set the scene with this document, E2.8. What's the actual mission here? Because Section 1 doesn't really mince words. It talks about applicable and effective control.
Right. And you have to notice the scope. It's not just about, preventing injuries.
No.
It lists 4 pillars of exposure. HSE, that's health, safety, environment, then quality, planning, and budget.
And they're all just lumped together.
And that's the key insight. In a normal job, safety is one department, and finance is way over there in another building.
They might see each other at the holiday party, maybe.
Maybe. But this document says, no, if you have a safety failure, you have a budget failure. If you have a quality failure, you have a planning failure.
They're the same thing?
They're all just exposure.
So it's a holistic view of disaster.
Precisely. It's forcing the contractor to realize that a broken valve isn't just a plumbing issue.
No.
It's a lawsuit, it's a 3-month delay,
Yeah.
and it's a massive check they have to write.
Okay, so if I'm a contractor and I've just won this massive bid, I'm popping the champagne, feeling good. Then I read Section 2 about the Risk Management Plan, or RMP. And suddenly I'm sweating. Because the deadline is, well, it's tight.
It is a sprint. The document demands the full RMP be submitted no later than 30 days.
30 days.
Yeah.
From the start date.
From the commencement date.
That feels incredibly aggressive for a multi-year mega project.
It is, but it's a test, a litmus test. The employer knows that the beginning of a project is when the uncertainty is highest.
The fog of war phase.
Exactly. So if a contractor says, oh, give us 6 months to settle in, then we'll look at the risks, they've already failed.
They're flying completely blind.
Completely. By forcing a 30-day deadline, the employer is saying, I want to know that you are terrified of failure from day one.
Show me you're worried.
Yes. If you can't produce a coherent strategy to stamp disasters in the first month, you probably aren't capable of building a plant.
And it's not just a one-and-done homework assignment, is it? The source material's very specific. It calls this a living document.
That is such a crucial phrase. Living document.
It lists out all these different phases.
Yeah.
Detailed design, procurement, manufacturing.
Transportation, site installation, pre-commissioning, startup.
Yeah.
Just think about the difference in those risks for a second. The risk in the design phase is purely intellectual.
Right. It's on paper.
Did we do the math wrong?
Right.
Is the steel strong enough on the blueprint?
Okay.
But then you move to transportation. Now the risk is logistical.
Oh, yeah.
Is the giant barge carrying our one-of-a-kind turbine going to get stuck in a canal somewhere? Is the crane going to tip over?
And then startup. That sounds like the really scary one.
That's kinetic. You're literally turning the gas on. You're pressurizing the pipes. If your risk plan is still talking about design flaws when you're trying to ignite the pilot light, you are in so much trouble.
Right.
The document forces the contractor to reinvent the plan for every single stage of the project's life.
It's like updating your will every time you get in a car versus, when you go skydiving.
That is a very vivid way to put it. Yeah.
I want to talk about integration. Section 2 has this huge list of other systems the risk plan have to connect to. It mentions quality management, insurance, procurement, but then it drops these very technical acronyms.
HAZO, OPS, and HAZIDS.
Yes. For the listener who isn't a chemical engineer, can you unpack what a HAZOP even is?
A HAZO, a hazard and operability study, is basically a group of engineers staring at a drawing of a single pipe or maybe one pump for hours.
Hours.
For hours, and they just ask these what-if questions. What happens if the flow stops? What if the pressure doubles? What if the valve gets stuck open?
That sounds incredibly tedious.
It is,
Yeah.
but it saves lives. Now, here's the problem in most projects.
Okay.
The engineers do the Hazo-Ozo, they write a report, they put in a binder, and they put that binder on a shelf.
And the project manager never, ever sees it.
Correct. The project manager is worried about the budget. The engineers are worried about the valve. They're not talking to each other.
Right.
Document E2.8 shatters that silo. It explicitly requires that the results of the HAZOP, those specific technical failures, have to be fed directly into the master risk management plan.
So the project manager's dashboard have to actually light up if the engineers find a dangerous valve.
Yes. And it has to link to insurance, because if that valve fails, that triggers a claim.
Oh.
If procurement buys a cheat valve to save money, they need to know it's just increased the HAZOP risk. It forces the entire team to share the same brain.
That's the whole connective tissue idea. Risk isn't a department, it's the nervous system of the entire project.
Exactly.
Okay, let's get visual for a minute. One of the most striking things in the source is Figure 1, the risk assessment matrix. And we've all seen these, right? It's a grid. Green squares, yellow squares, red squares. Looks a bit like a board game.
It does. But the rules of this particular game are deadly serious.
You have severity on one axis from 0 to 5, and probability on the other, A to D. But let's look at the severity columns, because it's not just how much money do we lose.
No, not at all. They track 4 distinct categories: people, assets, environment, and reputation.
Reputation. That one really stuck out to me.
It's probably the most modern part of this whole document.
We expect people, obviously, we don't want injuries. Assets, don't blow up the factory.
Of course.
Environment, don't spill anything. But reputation, how do you even quantify that in an engineering contract?
Well, look at the definition. Find level 5 severity under the reputation column. What does it say?
It says major international impact.
Okay, and now look at level 5 for people.
Multiple fatalities.
Just let that sink in for a second. The employer has put multiple fatalities on the exact same level as major international impact.
Wow.
They are telling the contractor, if you kill people, that is a level 5 disaster. If you don't kill anyone, but you create a scandal that ends up on the front page of the New York Times or the BBC, that is also a level 5 disaster.
That is just cold. But I guess in the corporate world, a reputation hit can kill a company just as dead as an explosion can.
It's the whole concept of your social license to operate. If you build a chemical plant, the community lets you be there because they trust you to be safe.
Right.
If you lose that trust, the government shuts you down. The project is over. So a PR disaster is effectively a structural failure.
So the engineer of the future isn't just calculating stress on a beam. They're calculating the stress on the brand.
Well, at the very least, they have to sit in a meeting with the person who is.
Let's talk about how this matrix works. You have these zones. Green is managed for improvement. Yellow is incorporate measures. And then there's the red zone.
A red zone.
The label here is failed to meet screening criteria. That sounds very polite, like you didn't get into a club.
It does.
What does it actually mean for the guy pouring the concrete?
It means S.OP.
Like a full stop.
A full hard stop. If a risk plots in the red zone say high probability and high severity, you cannot proceed with that activity. You can't accept the risk. You can't just sign a waiver.
You have to change something.
You have to change the plan.
Yeah.
You have to engineer the risk out of existence or buy insurance or change the entire method until that risk drops down to yellow.
It's a gatekeeper.
It forces a conversation. You can't just ignore the elephant in the room if the matrix is painting that elephant bright red.
But here's where my skepticism creeps in. This matrix is qualitative. That means it's based on judgment, right?
It is.
If I'm a stress project manager and I see a risk is red, and I know red means delay, isn't there a huge temptation for me to just nudge it?
You mean, oh, this isn't a probability D. It's probably more of a C.
Exactly. It won't rain that much. The strike won't last that long.
Yeah.
Just to get it out of the red so I can keep my job moving.
And that is the eternal flaw of qualitative risk assessment. It's subjective. And that is exactly why Section 2 of this document doesn't stop there. It demands quantitative risk management. And specifically, it drops another term, Monte Carlo analysis.
I love this name. It sounds like we're all going to a casino in Monaco.
In a way, we are. But instead of betting on roulette, we are betting on the project schedule.
So for the listener who thinks Monte Carlo is just a place to park a yacht, what is the computer actually doing here?
Okay, so in the simple matrix, you just pick one box. Medium likelihood.
Right.
In a Monte Carlo simulation, you feed the computer a range for every single task.
Okay, give me an example.
Let's take pouring the foundation. You tell the computer, best case scenario, everything goes perfect, it takes 10 days. Worst case, it rains, the concrete truck breaks down, it takes 20 days. But most likely, it'll take about 12 days.
And you do that for every single step of the project.
For thousands of steps. Then you hit go, and the computer runs a simulation. It virtually builds the project. Then it resets and builds it again. And
Right.
again.
And again.
Yeah.
Maybe 10,000 times.
It's like Dr. Strange looking at all the possible futures. That's the perfect analogy. In one future, it rains. In another, the truck breaks down. In another, everything is perfect. And at the end, it gives you a probability curve.
So it doesn't say, we might be late.
No. It says there is an 87% mathematical probability that this project will finish 3 weeks late and $5 million over budget.
You can't argue with that number.
You can't. It strips away the optimism bias. You can't nudge the math. If the curve says you're going to fail, you have to face it.
And the document requires the contractor to submit these results.
Yes. They have to show their work.
That is fascinating. It turns I have a bad feeling about this into I have a p-value for this.
Correct.
So I've got the matrix for the quick check and the Monte Carlo for the deep mathematical truth. Now let's talk about the tool where all this information lives.
Yeah.
Figure 2, the risk register.
The spreadsheet of doom.
It looks like a classic spreadsheet. Description, likelihood, impact.
Oh.
But you pointed out one column that you think is the most important one on the whole page.
Yes, the owner.
A person who will manage the risk.
It seems like such a tiny administrative detail. But this is where projects die. It's the bystander effect.
Someone else will handle it.
Exactly. If a risk is owned by the engineering department, it's owned by no one. When the deadline hits and the risk blows up, everyone points fingers. This document requires a specific name.
So if the risk is customs delay on the turbine, the owner isn't logistics. The owner is Steve.
The owner is Steve, and
Yeah.
Steve knows it. And because Steve knows his name is on the report that goes to the client every single month, Steve is going to be on the phone with customs every single day.
It creates personal accountability.
It does. It's the throat to choke principle, to be a bit graphic.
It ensures that worry has a home address.
A very good way to put it.
I also noticed the register asks for 2 different values, pre-mitigation and post-mitigation.
Yeah, that's the value add column. The contractor has to list the risk as it stands right now, the really scary version.
Okay,
And then they have to list the risk as it will be after they execute their plan.
so if we do nothing, there's a 50% chance of a fire. But if we install this new sprinkler system, there's a 1% chance.
Exactly. It forces the contractor to prove that their plan actually works. You can't just list problems. You have to sell your solutions. It's
Yeah.
all about calculating the delta, the change in risk you create.
So we have the plan, the math, the register. Now let's talk about the rhythm. Because you can write a great plan on day 1 and then get busy and completely forget about it.
Right.
How does the employer keep this whole system alive?
They control the calendar. Section 5 mandates the meeting schedule, and it is very specific.
How specific?
Risk meetings must be held 4 working days before the monthly project progress meeting.
Why 4 days? That seems so arbitrary. Why not the day of? Or the day after?
It's all about narrative control. The project progress meeting is the big show. That's where the executives are. That's where the money people are.
The main boardroom table.
Right. You do not want to walk into that boardroom and get blindsided by bad news. The employer wants the risk data analyzed, digested, and summarized before the big meeting happens.
So if there's a problem, we know about it 4 days in advance.
Exactly. We can prepare a recovery plan. We can get our story straight. There is nothing a project director hates more than a surprise in front of the client. That 4-day buffer is there to kill surprises.
And speaking of not overwhelming the executives, the document also mandates reporting on the top 10 risks.
I love this requirement. It's like the billboard charts for disaster.
So why limit it to just 10? Why not report all of them?
Cognitive load. On a billion-dollar job, there might be 2,000 risks in the database. If you put a 200-page report on the CEO's desk, what happens?
They won't read it.
Of course not. By forcing a top 10, you force the team to ruthlessly prioritize. What are the 10 things that could kill us this month?
It focuses the mind.
It does. It says, ignore the sprained ankle. We need to focus on the heart attack.
There's one final visual requirement I want to unpack. The risk contingency rundown curve.
Ah, the fuel gauge.
Contingency is basically the rainy day fund for the project, right?
Yeah. Let's say the project costs $100 million. You might set aside an extra $10 million just for risks. That's your buffer, your safety net.
And the rundown curve tracks how fast you're spending it.
Exactly. It plots your remaining money against time.
So if we are 2 months into a 2-year project,
Yeah.
and the curve shows we've already spent 50% of our contingency fund,
You are in a nosedive. You are burning through your safety net way faster than you are building the project. That curve shows you instantly if the project is healthy or if it's bleeding out.
it really feels like they are building a cockpit for the project manager. You have the fuel gauge, which is the rundown curves. You have the radar for incoming threats, that's the top 10 risks. And you have the warning lights, which is the red zone on the matrix.
That is the perfect analogy. Without a document like E2.8, project management is often just reacting.
Putting out fires.
Right. Oh, the truck broke down, fix it. Oh, the permit was rejected, reapply. This document shifts the entire culture from reaction to prediction.
So bringing it all together now, we started this deep dive kind of joking about paperwork.
We did.
But looking at this, it feels less like admin and more like psychology.
It is 100% behavior modification.
How do you mean?
It forces the contractor to adopt the employer's anxiety. By making them quantify it, map it, name an owner for it, and report on it monthly, you are wiring the contractor's brain to worry about the exact same things the billionaire owner worries about.
It removes the excuse of, well, accidents happen.
In this framework, accidents don't happen. Accidents are risks we failed to mitigate. It creates a culture of zero surprise.
I just keep going back to that reputation column. The idea that a bad tweet could be seen as a structural failure.
It's the reality we live in, you know? Information travels faster than a shockwave. If you don't engineer your own reputation, someone else will demolish it for you.
So as we wrap up, most of our listeners aren't building chemical plants.
Probably.
They aren't managing billion-dollar budgets. But these tools, the top 10 list, the red zone, the rundown curve, they feel universally applicable.
They absolutely are. The scale changes, but the principles don't.
So here's the challenge for you, the listener. Imagine you had to submit an E2.8 for your own life.
Oh, that's a scary thought.
If you looked at your life right now, your career, your health, your finances, and you had to list your personal top 10 risks, what is sitting in your red zone?
Well, what is that high-impact, high-probability event that you're just kind of ignoring?
Is it burnout? Is it credit card debt? Is it neglecting a key relationship?
And then apply the owner column. Who is owning that risk? Is it future me?
Future me is unreliable. He's always putting things off.
Exactly. You need to assign it to present me. You need a mitigation plan. You have to get it out of the red zone.
And ask yourself about your own contingency rundown curve. Are you burning through your energy or your savings faster than you're replenishing them?
It's a sobering check-in, but it's better to catch it now than 4 days before the progress meeting of life.
Hope is not a stratagem, as they say.
It certainly isn't in document E2.8.
A powerful lesson from what looks like a stack of technical requirements. Who knew risk management could be so existential?
At the end of the day, it's the art of survival.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time. And try to stay out of the red zone.
If you're interested in the templates, please visit our shop. The link is in the description.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and see next time.